Okay, so we just found out that the US is now giving Argentina $40 billion. Let's talk about who's getting rich from it, because it's not us. To review, you'll likely remember that last month, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced a $20 billion bailout for Argentina. Then this week, Trump doubled it, adding another $20 billion. Our government is still shut down, federal workers are not being paid, people are struggling everywhere, farmers are really struggling, so none of us are benefiting from this. Who is? Meet billionaire hedge fund manager Rob Citron. He's got billions of dollars invested in Argentina. He's also Scott Bessent's good friend and former colleague. In fact, Citron once said that he was responsible for 75% of Scott Bessent's bonus when the two of them worked for George Soros.
A bit with George, and I kind of convinced George and Scott Bessent at the time to go big in that. And, Scott says I was responsible for 75% of his bonus at Soros, kind of jokingly.
According to Mother Jones, when Argentina's economy began to falter in April, it was Citron who, quote, intervened before Scott Bessent to advocate for an IMF agreement with Argentina. Days before Bessent announced the deal, Citron purchased more Argentine bonds. Citron even flew on a private jet to Argentina with CPAC officials to meet with Argentina's president hours before Bessent arrived. Why with CPAC? Well, I'm glad you asked, because a company they founded called Tactic Global is now lobbying for Argentina to the tune of $10,000 a month. And Bessent's former mentor, Stanley Druckenmiller, also heavily invested in Argentina. Same with Fidelity, BlackRock, and PIMCO. So we have $40 billion for a country that has defaulted multiple times and has needed to be bailed out 23 times since the 1950s. Meanwhile, China is buying soybeans from Argentina instead of American farmers, and they are still waiting for relief. And did I mention that Trump has literally said that if Argentina's election doesn't go the way he thinks it should, he'll pull the money? This is just your friendly reminder that Trump only works to protect the ultra-wealthy and ultra-powerful. His billionaire buddies, his donors, anyone who hung out with this guy, but never you.
So America's dumbest person, the alleged President Donald Trump, bailed out Argentina with $20 billion. But now the America First president is contemplating doubling that to $40 billion. So tell me again how this president is America First. No money for the American people, but $40 billion for Argentina. Yeah, that's what your president's doing, MAGA.
While the U.S. government is shut down right now, it's one thing to have the president leaving the country and flying to other countries, as Trump did today. It's another thing to have the U.S. government funding another country's government while we are not funding ours. Nevertheless, Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, just sent $20 billion, just sent 20 billion U.S. taxpayer dollars to go fund the government of Argentina, to go bail out their currency for some reason. Argentina's currency has dropped 27% in value already this year, but we're buying $20 billion worth of it. Why is that? That doesn't seem like a good bet. Don't worry, it's just a loan. All right, think we're going to get that loan back? I don't know. The IMF has had to bail out Argentina 23 different times. Argentina owes the IMF more money than any other country on earth. The most recent IMF bailout was just in April, and even that wasn't enough to keep their economy and their peso from continuing to tank. But apparently now it's us. Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary, nevertheless just gave Argentina $20 billion of your money to prop up the government of Argentina, even though we have almost no trade with them. And if their economy or their currency collapses, that would be sad for them, but it would likely have no effect on us. This is not something we're doing to protect ourselves. It is just a favor to them. Trump and Scott Bessent have given them 20 billion US dollars out of the US Treasury, a $20 billion bailout that already appears, quite possibly, to be lost down a deep, dark well. Because even after Trump gave them this $20 billion infusion within the last few days, CNBC reports today that markets today reacted in such a way that indicates that $20 billion might not be enough. Argentina might tank anyway. And that presumably best case means that we'll never get our $20 billion back. Worst case, it means they're going to keep giving them even more money that we'll never get back. Why, when our own government is shut down, are we giving another country $20 billion to keep their government going? When again, we have no links to their economy, their risk has no connection to risk in our country. Why are we doing that? I don't know. But there are at least 2 American billionaires who are very close to Trump Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And these billionaires have made big bets on the health of Argentina's economy. So, I don't know if you had any plans for that $20 billion. It's your money. But for these rich guy friends of Scott Bessent, including Scott Bessent's former mentor on Wall Street, they stand to make a lot of money if the U.S. taxpayer starts propping up that failing country. And they stand to lose a lot if we don't, and that country fails. So there goes $20 billion of your money to buy nearly worthless pesos in Buenos Aires.
Welcome back to Trizah Reacts, where we break down the stories everyone is talking about. So, the US just approved a $40 billion bailout for Argentina, and people are not happy about it. So, let's get into it.
Breaking news, Argentina's bailout has now doubled to $40 billion in taxpayer money. And the Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, says we're working on a $20 billion facility that will complement our swap line with private banks and sovereign funds that I believe will be more focused on the debt market. Well, Trump says we're helping a great philosophy take over a great country. We want him to succeed. This referring to Javier Milei, who's the current president, and he is running to be reelected. Those 40 billions are contingent to Javier Milei being reelected as a president. Otherwise, Trump said that if he loses, we're not going to be generous with Argentina. Now, critics are calling this very un-American mentality because they're using taxpayer dollars to support Argentina instead of military forces. And let's just remember that bailout in between the US and Argentina started very quickly affecting the soy farmers here in the US. Because as soon as the US agreed on that initial $20 billion, Argentina dropped their exportation tax fees on soy, and China started buying from Argentina instead of the US. As always, sources are on the caption. Spread the word and follow for more news.
What the fuck?
Donald Trump is literally laughing in the face of every single person that lives within the United States of America and is a tax-paying person. And here's why. They just doubled the amount of money that they're going to be giving to Argentina, right? They doubled it to $40 billion. This is nothing but, what's the term here? Economical power, right? They're doubling what the bailout to $40 billion. And yes, to be fair, it is contingent with the fact that what's his name, Javier Milei or whatever his name is, Milei, has to win the re-elections for sure. But still, $40 billion is giving to Argentina when we can't even help our own people here within the States. Now, mind you, we are helping the same people that are directly hurting the U.S. citizens, and specifically the agricultural sector, right? Because China just signed a deal with Argentina to buy 10 cargoes of soybeans from there, when the U.S. was going to put a 100% tariff tax on China. So Donald Trump is continually screwing over the American population. Are you starting to get it now? Are you starting to get it now?
So, government's shut down. Government workers are being fired, laid off. Military and other government workers are not being paid. Farmers are bankrupt. And we gave $20 billion bailout to Argentina. Oh wait, I'm sorry. As of today, we doubled that. The Great Pumpkin gave $40 billion to Argentina today in a bailout that we'll never see again. This is not America first. This is not America. Period, people. Y'all need to wake up. Seriously. Snap out of it. He doesn't care about any one of us.
America first! America first! Oh wait, that $20 billion bailout to Argentina is now $40 billion. All while the Republicans are trying to gut Medicaid and health care for working Americans, while farmers are sitting there with no soybeans being sold because of Trump's bullshit tariffs. So even MAGA, this is not America first. You have been swindled. You have been lied to.
So, America First, President Trump is going to bail out Argentina with $20 billion, a country which is one of the U.S.'s biggest competitors in the soybean industry. Meanwhile, Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and some Americans aren't even getting that paycheck because of this government shutdown, forcing communities like West Point to organize their own community food drives just to feed people. It's very clear that Trump cares more about helping his political allies and his rich hedge fund managers who will stand to lose if Argentina goes bankrupt, rather than his own American citizens.
We have some big news right now. The Argentina bailout from the United States has doubled to $40 billion. Previously, the United States was going to send $20 billion of your taxpayer dollars to Argentina to bail the country out. Now it's just doubled to $40 billion. According to Scott Besson, he said, quote, that would be a total of $40 billion for Argentina. He described the situation as a, quote, economic Monroe doctrine. Essentially, the United States is using economic power rather than any other military power, etc. And while a lot of this is contingent upon Javier Milei, who is a Trump ally, current president of Argentina, winning re-election and doing well in the upcoming elections in Argentina. But just know, your taxpayer dollars, 40 billion of it, is now heading towards another country. This is not necessarily an America First mentality from the Trump administration. As always, spread the word. Full updates on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along, stay up to date on all the news you need to know about.
Hey, y'all, it's me, Ellen Good Fun on October 15th, and I want to talk about the $20 billion bailout that the United States recently sent to Argentina. They send it supposedly as an economic bailout because their economy is hurting. I think if you're going to do a $20 billion bailout, you ought to be sending it to the United States, where people are losing their health insurance coverage, farms are going out of business, people can't afford groceries, stuff like that. Maybe send a bailout to the United States. But here's the thing. I don't really think that was a bailout at all. I think that's what they're saying. I think that was a payment. I think that was a payment for services rendered, because I think the Argentinians, they gave lessons to the occupier of the White House and to us and Stephen Miller. Lessons on copying what Argentina did during their dirty war in the 1970s and early 80s, when they disappeared thousands of people, kidnapped, abducted, disappeared people, flew them in planes over the ocean, dropped them in, went after all the political enemies to the government. All the enemies went after them, disappeared them and their families. I think that the occupier of the White House and us, they went and took lessons from Argentina on how to disappear people. And they're using what they learned right now on us here in the United States. So that's my spin, and that's your history lesson for the day. Take care. I'm all in good fun.
Looks like the Trump administration has upped its taxpayer bailout of Argentina to $40 billion at a time when economic assistance is needed to American family farmers. This is one of the most egregious acts of this administration.
And the corruption abounds. In fact, what you just told me was that the president of the United States is going to send $40 billion of American taxpayer dollars to Argentina to bail them out of their own manufactured economic crisis, because their own leader, who is a lot like Trump, frankly, and his buddy, basically bankrupted the country of Argentina. But this is the thing that gets me. He's up for re-election right now, and Donald Trump basically said this aid package is...
Well, this is actually a bribe for Donald Trump to try to get the Argentinian people to re-elect this dictator. It's just the most corrupt, inappropriate use of presidential power, and at the expense of American taxpayers and family farmers in this country. As I said, it's one of the most egregious acts of this administration.
So basically, Trump is conditioning this aid, which is your taxpayer dollars, on this crazy guy winning re-election. So it's a bribe to the Argentinian people. But in addition to that, we're here fighting to save your healthcare, to keep WIC funded, and to make sure that people can put food on the table. And you also shared with us another shocking revelation, which is that the Trump administration is telling states to not distribute SNAP money, which is food benefits, to folks who qualify next month. Tell us more about that.
Well, the SNAP benefits will go out in October. That is already in the pipeline, but USDA has issued a memo to states instructing them that if the government is shut down after November 1st, not to distribute SNAP at a time when grocery prices are sky high and people are already having to choose whether to pay the rent or feed their families. Again, it is a direct attack on working families in our country.
And in my personal opinion, it's immoral. I mean, the fact that the president would give $40 billion in taxpayer-funded bailouts to essentially an autocrat in another country and then allow families to starve is immoral. It's wrong.
Look, and I don't know how the hell this constitutes America first. So I would say to family farmers, we understand your pain. We're fighting for you. Working families, we understand your pain. We're fighting for you. And I'm going to fight with all of my might against the bailout of a foreign country while Americans are having to forego their groceries.
And you better bet that we're going to conduct oversight and fight back.
Trump is giving another $20 billion to Argentina. We've now given them $40 billion in the last week. How much has gone to American farmers? Zero. Trump also wasn't going to pay the military. They said they weren't paying the military during the shutdown. Oh, well, military always gets paid during the shutdown, not under Donald Trump. He said no. Why? This was my favorite. A couple days ago, the Treasury Secretary, when announcing the additional $20 billion for Argentina, said, oh, we can't pay the military because of the shutdown. We're not allowed to. Oh, you're not allowed to pay the military during the shutdown, but you're allowed to pay Argentina. That's nice. Now, here's another point, too. $40 freaking billion. You know how much money they saved by shutting down AID, our foreign aid program that ended up killing lots of children in Africa? $14 to $16 billion they saved. We just pissed it away. $40 billion they gave to Argentina. These guys don't care about money. They are so fiscally reckless. They shut down these programs because they wanted to hurt people. They shut down these programs because they thought it was Democrats, like only Democrats care about helping people. That's why they cut money from Medicaid. That's why they cut money from the ACA. They're not letting us renew the subsidies for your health insurance. The prices are going to double because of Republicans. And now we've got this.
$40 billion. It was $20 billion. It's now $40 billion. He doubled it to $40 billion Donald Trump is sending to Argentina to bail out their economy after Argentina's soybean farmers undercut United States soybean farmers and stole all of our business with China. Somebody explain to me how that is America first, how that fits in with the America first philosophy. And before you say, oh, well, it's private businesses that are going to be sending that money to Argentina, they can't pay their taxes here. We refuse to tax them here in the middle of a government shutdown. The government is shut down because billionaires and mega corporations won't pay their taxes here. We're trying to give them more tax breaks. And yet they're sending $40 billion to our competition in the soybean industry to bail out that economy. Somebody, please explain to me how that fits in with America First. I would love to hear it.
Guys, you heard it right. $40 billion in aid of heading all the way to South America, where Americans are out here dealing with the rising costs, rent going up, and healthcare drama. Yes, now we really understand that Argentina has been struggling with massive inflation, like price changing daily, and the government needs a lifeline. Yes, we do. But here's the catch. Critics are asking why U.S. taxpayers keep footing the bill for their countries when the U.S. economy itself is still shaky. Since it's about protecting U.S. interests in South America, keep China and Russia from gaining influence there. Others says it's just another example of money first, citizens letters, this is politics, So I really want to know, what do you think? Should the U.S. be spending $40 billion abroad when people back home are struggling? Or is it a smart global strategy? Drop your thoughts below. I really want to see where you all stand on this one. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share, and also if you haven't subscribed, can you subscribe for me? It's your girl Trizah, and we question everything, and see you in the next one. See ya.